Hello, everybody. Welcome to Quantum Catechesis. I'm Father Joe Krupp, and you are not. And I feel like I'm farther away than usual. And I don't want to deprive you of the moneymaker. But this is the price we pay for... Wait, is it zooming now, Carrie? I think the camera heard me, right? And is seeking to make my will come into fruition. And if that's the case, I would like to win lottery.
I thought you wanted to show them something on your desk.
Well, I do. What a fine point you make, my good lady. So everyone, if you take a peek, I have a new toy. Oh, I'll take the pen off. But it is a Spartan handing me a pen. And it's only the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And you might say, Joe, who gave that to me? I bought it. I actually made the decision, okay, and this is the best part. I didn't just make the decision to buy it, I bought two. Because I have a desk in my office and a desk in my studio. So now, besides the fake microphone that doesn't work, is the Spartan pen holder that does work.
Nice.
You're welcome. So, huge thanks to Pastor Marvin Williams, who showed you how smart he is. Did you notice this? By not showing up today. I really was holding up hope. Holding out hope? Holding up hope. I don't know which.
Holding out.
Holding out hope. But I don't want to say he betrayed and abandoned me, but he betrayed and abandoned me. You know, one of you will betray me. So I'm so excited to be here. I like question and answer day. This is going to be a groovy day. And we do have some backup questions that I didn't get to last time. But please don't hesitate to submit questions. And I'm going to tackle both. But before we do, I want to tell you what we're doing next Wednesday. I'm really excited about this. Are you ready? I have no idea. Isn't that funny? Like, I've got too many in my and my head is a bag of cats, and I can't figure it out. And I want to do the Crusades thing, but that's going to take me a month to prepare. Seriously, that's a lot of info to sort through, and I know a lot, but I usually have to double check. I just do. The way my head works, I struggle with numbers. And so, like, I might tell you, well, in 1222, but what I really meant was, no, that'd be easy to do. I mix up numbers. I do. So if I read 1789, I mix it all up. And I go like 819, like, yeah. And so I write people's garage codes in my phone. But here's a crazy story, true story. One of my buddies, I got a new phone from a parish. I was at a parish. This was when Blackberries were a thing, and I wish they were still out there. I would use one. They were the best to type. Mm-hmm. But I had one. This is a true story, and Coach Izzo doesn't watch, I don't think. And I'm kind of glad, because this involves him. So I get a new Blackberry from the parish, and then I heard one of my buddies literally like 2 days later go, oh shoot, my phone's dead and I can't afford to get another one. And so I said, holy cow, I have a Blackberry. Do you want my old one? And she called like 2 days later and was like, okay, so now I have Coach Izzo's summer house, his regular house, the garage coach to both. I have Coach D'Antonio's summer house, his regular house, the garage code to both, and I can call and text either of them at will. And I begged her not to. And I know some of you were going, why didn't you just wipe it? Because I'm not bright. I thought we've covered this. So that's a true story. Anyway, today in the church, before we get into your questions and answers, you need to stick with me on this. You may remember, and if you haven't watched this particular episode I'm going to talk about, I'm not being funny, and I hate how self-serving this sounds. I urge you to go back and watch it. I think it's on YouTube, right? My show on cristeros. It is huge, and you weren't taught this in school. Because it was just Catholics getting killed. But about 100 years ago in Mexico, the government basically declared war on Catholicism. And you're like, wait a minute, Mexico is 97% Catholic. Right. but it was an unarmed population against a very armed government. And by the way, you can thank your U.S. congressperson for making sure the government was armed. And they passed all kinds of laws to restrict Catholicism. That's why there are still, that I know of, and if anyone from Mexico can tell me, there's still no Catholic schools there. It's still illegal for a Catholic priest to wear his garb in public. It's still illegal for a nun to wear her habit in public. Last I knew, and the last time I went there was 2002. Yeah. But from that, the people rose up in defense of their Catholic faith, and that war is called cristeros, without a H. And the slogan was Viva Cristo Rey, long live Christ the King. And my God, by the time the war was done, almost exactly 70% of Roman Catholic priests in Mexico were killed or exiled. And this was about 100 years ago, right around, in fact, 100 years ago. And it was a bloody, bloody war because, of course, this is what happens when the government declares war on its people, but spent some time making sure they were armed first. It is a tribute to the beauty of the Catholic faith in our brothers and sisters in Mexico. And I said this morning in the homily. A lot of those people you don't want in our country are the literal physical descendants of martyrs and of brave men and women. And that's where I get a little whatever about us fighting Mexicans coming here. All that is a political position, that's all. And it's one based in a lot of anti-Catholic rhetoric. And when I see Catholics puking it up, it makes me sick. But today, we remember Father Christopher Magallanes, who was one of the priests martyred, along with a number of lay people whose names we don't know. Some of the names we know. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the viewers of our show is a descendant of one of the recognized cristeros martyrs. And wow, what an amazing thing. If you want to look it up, couple things you could do. Believe it or not, I double checked. Wikipedia has a great article on cristeros. There's a movie called For Greater Glory. It's not, I don't know. It's not as good as I'd hoped it would be. This was a bloody, violent, awful war, and God's people stood and they bled. Man, anyway, God bless, quite literally, God bless Saint Christopher Magallanes and his companions today. And I hope it helps us who, if you're in the U.S., I'm talking to you, we don't suffer much, and so we keep redefining suffering so that everything is suffering. No. You know, people talk about the war on Christmas. Please. There's not one generation of Christians before you who would agree with you. They were the ones getting butchered, for real. Yeah, war on Christmas. What a bunch of nonsense. You want a war on Christmas, head down to Mexico 100 years ago. All of that funded by international masonry and the U.S. government. The Masons were founded with a principle of ending popery in the world. And I know it might be crazy for some of you who are like, I've been a Mason my whole life and I've never heard this. I get it. But that's what it was founded on. And back then they were extremely active in sabotaging Catholicism. And some would say at the highest levels, they still are. And I don't mean Masons like dudes who lay bricks. I mean the organization. So, okay. So, with that cheery note, let's dive in, huh? Do we have questions yet? Our school, oh, that's not a question. That's an announcement. Would you like to hear an announcement? As I've been talking about basically nonstop for 2 days, our school's virtual auction is Saturday at 7 p.m. Please tune in. It'll be a riot. The bidding opened yesterday, and one of the items is, what?
Several items.
Several what?
Items already have bids.
Oh, right, but one of the items,
Yeah.
Carrie's drunk. Actually, I think she's sober today, and that's probably why she's struggling a bit. I only noticed 2 empty Jack Daniel bottles by her desk. One of the items is a lug nuts game with me and Dad, and there's already some bids on it. So whoever wins that, Dad and I will take you to a lug nuts game. You will, of course, pay for parking and beer. I'm just kidding. You don't find that funny at all?
Yeah.
Carrie's not even listening. I'm over here throwing out pearls, lady.
I have
So-
a lot going on.
For Carrie. So check that out, if you would, pretty please. Now, how do I get to the auction? Well, in just a moment, I'm going to give you a telephone number that you need to text to. And when you text to it, you'll get a link so that you can participate in the auction. And I'll get to that in just a moment. But I want to tell you what we're doing. I try not to ask you for money unless it's really necessary. Like Catholic Charities, remember, I kind of tried to gently nudge us toward Catholic Charities of Genesee and Shiawassee County. Also, you know, a lot of you support our parish, and I'm so grateful. We need that help. Parishes are suffering. But this is one where I'm just as interested in you simply attending and cheering us on, if you would. But why are we doing a virtual fundraiser? I'm sure most of you haven't heard of this, but we had a virus that afflicted our country called the Mexican beer virus, or Corona. Does anyone find that funny? This is not even. And that's why I'm picking it up. Look at. Guys, it's gonna be trouble today.
Revenge.
This, you know what? This is gonna drive me nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna dream about this. Okay, so I'll hold it. Let me burp it. So what's going on is last year we had the coronavirus, so we couldn't do our school auction. And guys, that's one of the primary ways we fund our Catholic education. And again, we couldn't have it this year. So we said, well, here's what we'll do then. We'll do a virtual auction, because we frankly desperately need the fundraiser, right? But I get it, and I don't want this to turn into a thing where I'm asking for cheese. So I would love it if you just come and enjoy. And if you want to bid on an item, please do. Did I see that one of them, Father Zach, is cooking something or something?
He and the other Father Paul
Okay,
are
Donnelly.
hosting a chop party. So I think
A which party?
a chop, like with knives, chop.
Oh,
So
like they're going to stab people?
they're gonna
Don't bid on that one. Send your friends.
So this is truly a priest gathering.
Okay.
The host provides all the food,
Oh.
and they come and prepare it.
Oh, okay.
Wrap it up.
So Father Zach, for those of you who don't know him, is 19 feet tall. And brilliant and hilarious and kind and holy. Now, Father Paul, I don't know real well, but he strikes me as just a lovely dude. And if he's friends with Zach, he's probably a great guy even. But what I know of Father Paul is he is a faithful and joyful servant of the Lord. So that's an item on there. So I'll stop now. I will. But if you want to participate, get your papers, get your pens, get your cameras, I don't know. But here we go. What you're going to do is you're going to text to a number, okay? And that number is 243725, okay? So you'll text to 243725. What will you text? This one-word abomination, okay? HFS, Holy Family School. HFS, we couldn't have made this easier. Auction 2021. HFS Auction 2021. All one word. It will drive your autocorrect insane. So if you want to participate, you can type that, I think, anytime, really, up till like probably 7:55 on Saturday.
Actually, till 8:30.
Till 8:30. Wait, I'm so stupid. Right, I got you.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
But they want to go on now and look at all the great things.
Yeah, if you want to hop over there and look at all the things we're selling. Guys, if you're interested in some of the more interesting items, click dark web option.
Click featured items.
Oh, click featured items. Because I was thinking dark web is where you could hire a professional assassin. But now that I remember, that's not an auction for the school, okay? That's an auction that I'm doing on my own. And it should turn out fine. So if you're interested, please text HFS Auction 2021, one word, to the number 243725. That's it. Did I do all the intros?
You did?
We got all the intros. So now you know about Father Christopher Magallanes. You know a kiss about cristeros. And I can't encourage you strongly enough to go back and watch the show on cristero. And now we're going to get after your questions.
Next week, Bruce Dinger is going to be on.
What?
Bruce Dinger will be on next week.
He will? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Next week's show, our guest is going to be Bruce Dinger. And what's most important that you know about Bruce is that his wife's name is Kim, and I love to say, Kim Dinger, like that. That's really all you need to know. Bruce, whatever, he's a guy. But his wife's name is Kim Dinger. And we did a show at her store, Kim Rose...
1 year ago.
Kim Rose Fashions, like me. I've offered to model for her, but she said they want good-looking people. So anyway, Kim's husband is Bruce, who's become a very good friend of mine. Marius, don't do it. Who's become a very good friend of mine, and he has recently, can I tell people?
Yeah.
Become Catholic, which is really interesting because before this, he was actually a Muslim.
Okay,
that's not true. I'm going to be totally honest. That's not true. He was Sikh.
I think you should tell people the truth.
What? That he was the devil? He was in league with Lucifer. We'll have him on next week to talk about his conversion, what brought him to it, how much I paid him, what it was like when his wife received a toaster oven signed by Pope Francis because of his conversion. He's going to tell us that whole thing. And I kind of hope he isn't watching. I doubt if he watches this.
I'm afraid he's watching.
Yeah. Actually, he'll give it right back. That's why I love Bruce. Bruce is crazy smart. He's a beautiful man with an amazing heart. And I was so overjoyed to walk with him through the process of becoming Catholic. An exceptionally well-read, an intelligent guy, and a lot of fun. And really an inquisitive mind. That's what I liked. He didn't accept anything I said at face value, and I love that. In a good way. I mean, okay.
Sure.
So, whew. Have you been to the beauty shop? Can I do this? Like those angels. Wait, was it this that the angels and the...
Yeah. The little...
I look great, seriously? I always feel like I'm not an attractive man, and I embrace that. Like, I don't run from that.
That's from Marianne, that's on Twitter with you.
Our Marianne?
Yeah.
Oh, Marianne, I love you. I taught with Marianne.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, at Queens in Jackson, right before her unfortunate incarceration. And I had a photo shoot today.
Yeah.
And it is my hope that when we get these photos back, that I can send it to Faith Magazine. Because they're using a picture of me from 1999. And whenever I meet people who haven't seen this show, who only know of me from Faith Magazine, they are so gravely disappointed. And it's so mean. Like, remember this when I first got here? Remember this? I came in Kira's office and I'm like, there's like 10 people who every day when they say, you don't look anything like your picture. I'm like, thank you. I know I have somehow got less attractive and more fat. But I don't need you to tell me that. So anyway, no, but I did what did I do? I did the thing with my head. The little 3 twirlies, Norelco things.
A shaver?
Yeah, I use that on my head.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I do it about once a week because I don't know. It's easy.
There you go.
And I could let it grow out, but then I would have that bozo thing going. You know what I mean?
Look good.
Have you seen those bozo guys? Like, there's a few where I honestly, if I know them better, I'd be like, dude, you lost. It's okay.
Well,
it's okay.
One of your fans said to me recently,
Yeah.
you look different than you do on camera.
Yeah. Someone told me this weekend I look less fat. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And I right? And someone did camera adds 10 pounds. And I'm like, yeah, and there's 3 cameras on me. Truly, honest to God, someone just said that to me last weekend. We're here, we always watch you on TV. Wow, you don't look so fat in real life. I'm like, yes, I do. I mean, look at this thing. I'm due any day now. So Are people happy? I'm sorry. I can't imagine anybody staying. Is everybody fleeing like it's a crime scene? Okay. So, I answered a question.
Yes.
Yes. No, I haven't been to a beauty shop. I don't think ever.
I think they should have been able to figure that out.
All right. I mean, now the closest I came to a beauty shop was I would sometimes go to a barber. Right, but it was like a $5 haircut, and truly, I was dead serious. He was in Dearborn. You had no say. Like, seriously, I'd always
assessed you and gave you the cut.
I don't even know what there was assessing. I know there was drinking, but it was $5. And seriously, you'd just walk in and be like, sit down. Well, I like to, whatever. That's what he would say. If you started to tell me what you want, whatever, and he would just start hacking. And I always, on the positive side, I always got compliments, but they're like, oh, is that a schlubla haircut? I'm like, yeah. I had hair.
You should have joined the army.
Oh, yeah. Well, you remember, I had a ton of hair. I used to have long hair. But, yeah. Okay, so how we did that one, right? So now, I desperately, Dr. Williams and I did it yesterday. Okay.
How do we shun fear?
How do we shun fear and embrace, Marius? No, mijo. And embrace God's joy and peace. I feel like if I had more trust, I wouldn't have so much anxiety. Okay, lots to unpack here. What a fine question. First of all, I have a ton of anxiety. For what? Just a second. Marius. Here, let's send him out. Wanna? He's being naughty. Maurice, you're going to put me over here?
Yeah.
What about the confrontation cam?
But I have to walk past that.
Oh, okay. Marius is being pure evil. And I'm scatterboy today. All right. Honestly, I wrestle with anxiety a lot. I was just telling Carrie, in fact, like a couple hours before the show, I'm like, I am fighting panic so hard this week. It's exhausting, right? And I get it, okay? Sometimes it's a chemical thing, right? And some, I know everybody's saying this, but stick with me, okay? By any objective standard, the last 15, 16 months have been completely unique in American history. And there's really not much built into us to deal with this level of reality. So I want you to think of something, okay? When my mom had some brothers that were in World War II, okay, and some of them stormed Normandy, okay? And the way they found out was about 4 days after we stormed Normandy, it popped into the American papers. And there was a period where one of her brothers was assumed dead, to the point of talking about his funeral plans. And then a letter arrived from him. Human communication used to be more adapted to the human brain. Now it's adapted to what's possible. And you and I know you're not going to believe me, okay, but I promise you, objectively, what I'm going to say is true. We live in the least violent time in human history. Human progress has never been this high. But part of the problem is you and I know way too much, and we know it instantly, and we aren't really given time to process it. So, like, you remember when Trump was president? It was like a 4-year insanity on the part of the left and right, constantly just throwing grenades at each other. And now we got Obama, and it's the same, or what's his name, Biden, and it's the same thing the other way. And we're allowing the people who shriek to own our brains. We're allowing the party hacks to own our brains. And the left is going to interpret every little thing the right does from the most paranoid perspective possible and ignore the exact same behavior if it's happening with their people. And then the right does the same thing. And I'm saying all this because it's real. And so what happens to you as a human is you know way too much about trivial things. And of course, to me, the root of the problem is it's a few things, but one is there's no such thing really as free news. Okay, somebody's paying for it. It's like when people say, oh, we need free college. There's no free college. Somebody's paying for it, right? When our news source isn't funded by us personally, it's funded by someone else with an agenda. And so they ignore things we should know, inundate us with things we don't need to know and have no power over. And then, by the way, they lock us in our homes for a year. And we can't even find out the truth, right? Remember, especially the beginning of the virus, I remember those articles. The virus will, if you put your hand on a desk, that virus will stay there for 6 months. Remember these? And all of these fantastic, crazy things are being thrown at us for a simple reason. The little lizard brain in us responds to it. So I could go on, and I always do. But what I'm inviting you to do, and even begging you to do, is to walk away. Step away. Facebook is its own poison. Twitter is its own poison. It's filled with insane people shrieking at each other, and people just repeating and parroting whatever their little political masters tell them to. And nobody is careful about the lies anymore. And so it's not good for us. And if you're in a state like Michigan is lifting so many of the restrictions for those who got vaccinations. Is it vaccinations? Is that the correct word?
Yeah.
Go take a walk.
Yep.
Go breathe. Take off the mask. You're not made for this. I'm talking to our kids who don't want to take their masks off now, right? We did that to our kids. They're so used to it, they're afraid to take it off. And I'm not saying anybody sinned. I'm just saying that's how messed up we've got, right? I think I told you, I talked to a guy who lost his business that his dad started when he was 5 because during the riots in Minneapolis, they burned down his restaurant. And now he doesn't have a job. And all the people who worked for him don't have a job. And the media called that a mostly peaceful protest. Okay. We just weren't meant to know this much. We weren't meant to have this much data thrown at us. We weren't meant to be lied to so well for so long. Take a walk, breathe him in, and remember what you got, okay? Please don't think of your anxiety as a sin. It's not. And don't let somebody tell you that you can pray it away in a sense of some things we can pray and give to the Lord, but I don't like when we pretend anxiety is some sort of failure that needs to be fixed. It's how you feel, and you can't do anything about feeling something. What you can do is gently speak the truth to your anxiety. You can turn off at least part of the source of the anxiety. Take a walk, go sit with Jesus. One of my favorite things that I do, when did we go to St. Mark's? Was that yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Dad and I were on the way to St. Mark's, and I told him my anxiety was through the roof. I couldn't think. Just so much, guys. I don't mean to, I'm happy, but when you're a priest, it's constant, right? And it's pain, it's suffering, it's baptisms, it's weddings, it's all of it, right? And all of a sudden, driving with Pop, it hit me. I went in and got us a couple sandwiches, and then I was standing in there, and it struck me, I always go back to my car and I'm alone, but Dad's there. And so when I got in the car, I told him, Dad, for 20-some years, everywhere I went alone. And I didn't mind it. I got used to it, whatever. But it was so cool to buy 2 sandwiches. You know what I mean? It was just cool as hell to buy 2 sandwiches or to fold 2 loads of laundry. instead of just mine. It takes my eyes off of me, which always helps with my anxiety. Take your eyes off you. And then the other thing is gratitude helps a lot. Like, so I just told Dad how much I love him and how grateful I am. And then he said something very sweet back, and then we laughed at each other and said something horrible because it got awkward. We're men. So I hope this is helpful. And I feel like I kind of went around and around, but I gotta tell you, your anxiety is a normal response. Things are nuts. And things aren't as bad as you think, but nobody's telling you the good things. And the people who are telling you the bad things, the 50% chance they're lying to you because they want to sell something. So how do we shun the fear and embrace? I think I've hit it. You know, gratitude is very potent for anxiety. And don't do it like this. Well, I shouldn't feel this. I'm so, no. I feel anxious right now. So I'm going to think about how I'm blessed. And think specifically. Don't just say, like, you know, okay, for my sister Kelly, okay? I'm not just saying, oh, thank you, Lord, for Kelly. No, I'm going to tell the Lord why I love her, why I'm grateful for her. You get me? So try a gratitude exercise. Try a nice walk. Sit with Jesus for a bit. And try to remember you are an ordinary person in an extraordinary time. And have a little dang mercy on yourself. Huh? You are loved. This is the thing that's hard for me. I'm loved when I'm feeling anxious. I feel very unlovable in those moments. I get embarrassed. But I'm loved. Yeah, by my dog. How are we doing?
Good.
Okay, on the subject of married priests, has the Episcopalian Church benefited from married priests? No. It's the numbers are awful. Theirs are worse than ours. Because it wasn't just that they lost clergy and didn't get as many vocations, they lost parishioners, right? It's, no, that's really judgy. Hold on. Well, like I hear people say this about the priest vocation crisis. Okay, they'll say, well, if the church just allowed married priests, we'd have more. Okay, but let me ask you this. Do you want a guy who hears the Lord calling him and says yes, serving you as a priest? Or do you want more people, some of whom heard the Lord calling and said, well, yes, but only if? And I mean that. And I hope that doesn't sound judgy. I want to, when I... 22 years old, sitting on the deck with Father Dimitri Sala, right? And I knew I was to the point where I was going to go. And I cried, and I said, and he's a happy priest, I want to be clear. I said, well, I want to have a family. I want to get married. I want to have 900 kids. And he said, quote, me too. Never thought of that. Never thought that maybe the fact that I wanted those things didn't mean much in light of what Jesus was calling me to. And I found a great release from Archbishop Vigneron, who was one of my teachers, who said something very powerful my second year in seminary. He said, if your yes to God is conditional, that's not a yes to God. And then he said, and if you're always focused on what you're giving up, you'll never think about what you're embracing. Right? So I'm tried to shift my focus from a wife and kids that I won't have to what am I embracing? And as a celibate, what I'm trying to do is show you that this is what kingdom life looks like. And I know that sounds funny, but Father Raniero Cantalamessa wrote a great book on this called Virginity for the Kingdom. And what he talked about was, as priests, our celibacy is a pledge to live the kingdom of God now, right? That, forgive how clunky this analogy is, we're packed for the trip home, right? I've been with, oh my gosh, hundreds of dying moms and dads, husbands and wives and kids And in a lovely way, you know what they're thinking of. Is my family going to be all right without me? As St. Paul said, that's not where a celibate's mind is. And that's a good thing. We need married people. We need celibates. There's lots of other reasons why priests are celibate, but that's one of the biggest. We are prophesying that Jesus is coming back and that our time is short. How? By not tying ourselves too heavily to the world. And that doesn't mean married people are doing something wrong. They're called to fruitful love. I'm called to a different kind of love, a better love. I'm just kidding. Does that help? Okay. Well, I don't know. Did I actually answer their question? Oh, okay, great. It's not helped anybody. Just being candid, there's not a Protestant church who is thriving right now. And all their dudes marry, in terms of clergy numbers. Okay. How do you know deep down you have forgiven someone? I said I was sorry. I'm just kidding. Wouldn't that be awesome? That's my sister wrote this. No. How do you... Wouldn't that be awesome? Sincerely, Joe's sister. What the hey? I can read. Okay. How do you know deep down you have forgiven someone, especially if you no longer want to be friends? Do you want to see them in heaven? Do you hope that you will be next to each other in heaven and the wound will be healed? Do you... Oh, there you go. Right? I think that's it. And don't forget, I say this way too much, but I'm right. Forgiveness is a process, not a moment. It takes a long time. And once we have released that debt, Lord, do not collect the debt they owe me. We have forgiven. The rest is just training our feelings. Right? Our emotion, not just, that's a bear. For me, that's a bear. I'm an emotional dude. I can put anger on. If you get me to the point where I'm angry, it's super hard for me to downshift, right? And I'm one of those guys, like if I go to war, it's burn down the villages. Right? I think I told you this once, Carrie. I said, here's one of my issues is, if these people, because there was a group of people who wanted to fight, and I said to them, here's the problem. If you want me to fight, I'll win. I'll burn down the village. You don't want me to fight. Well, let's talk. Let's get through it together. Right? But if you make it win-lose, I'm broken, I'm a sinner, and you push me to fight, I'll win. Right? I'll outlast you. Right? And especially as a priest, I hate this, but I have all the power. Yikes. Do you really? I remember that talk from one of my instructors in high school who I might have accidentally got kicked out of a class. And he said to me, Joe, she has all the power. What did you think would happen when you got in a fight? Did you think you would win? Did you think the teacher would go, Joe, you're right. Sorry. Why don't you teach for a while? No, she has all the power. All she's got to do is go get the heck out. Don't fight when you know you can't win. Like, that's pretty bold. That was Mr. Metamar. Way to go, Mr. Metamar. So how do you know you're trying? You know you've forgiven them the moment you say, Lord, don't collect this debt. The rest is teaching your feelings, okay? Instructing them, molding them, educating them, disciplining them. But do you want them to be in heaven fully healed today? I'm just kidding. Okay. Can a baby be baptized without a Catholic godparent? What to do if not? Okay. No. One godparent needs to be Catholic. And I don't know what to do if not means, not to be funny. Do you mean you've already picked somebody? Well, the priest just won't do it, I assume.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good information.
Yeah. Well, if he's like me, I'll find a way around it, right? What I'll do is tell you, okay, then you're going to have 3 godparents.
Oh, there you go.
You know what I mean? And some priests will say no to that just because they have to control everything. But the key is you need to, like the law requires 1 active practicing Catholic. And if you pick that, when you pick that Catholic one, hear me, don't go by a biology. This is the person you hope will help guide your son or daughter to heaven. And I can't tell you, probably more in the last 10 years, more in the last 5 years than in the previous 16. I've had kids come to me, mom picked her bestie, and they're not besties anymore. Or dad picked his bestie, and they're still besties, but dad's bestie doesn't care about the faith. And we unintentionally rip our kids off, right? And there's actually a little ritual I typed up for having a new godparent. And it's not official, it's not legit, it's just what we do. You know, I'm a terrible godparent. Whenever people ask me to be one, I give them the speech. I'm the worst. I can't remember breakfast. Like, I can sit there and go, I'm hungry. But as to whether I ate or not, I don't know. Especially now that we're out of our breakfast bars. Dad and I eat kind breakfast bars every morning, one each. But I always order them from Amazon, and I'm boycotting Amazon. All right, did I answer that? Yeah. How do we say if we dare to say?
No, why? Sorry.
No, you're right.
Why? Sorry.
No, you're right. I was wrong. Why do we say we dare to say before saying the Our Father at Mass? Why the word dare? Okay, so we dare to say Our Father who are, okay, got you. Because it's insane. What we believe is insane. Seriously. You're used to it. It's just like the Eucharist. It's just like Jesus' resurrection from the dead. It's just like Jesus getting killed. What we believe is insane. And to me, it's one of the best selling points of Christianity. Nobody would make this up. Right? And all the made-up faiths, God is a butt-kicking, one all the time, and by the way, he picked these followers and they were perfect. No, then there's us. Our God, yeah, born in a barn, got killed, and the people he chose to lead really were idiots. But on the positive side, they ran away and abandoned him. Who makes this up? And part of what is shocking, and if you ask your Muslim or your practicing Jew friends, they'll tell you that's shocking and obnoxious even. When I prayed with a group of Jews in Israel, one of the things they gently told me afterward was, please don't say Father. That the fact that you would call God that is really messed up, right? And they're wrong. But I got their point. So you and I are just used to something shocking, okay? But it is shocking. It's brave of us to trust that God doesn't mind. Whew, sorry, oh, and I just hit the mic, didn't I? Sorry, everyone. The dog scratched the door because the dog doesn't like it when we call God Father. I'm just gonna say it. My dog is, well, he's an Orthodox Jew. Except for the meat, he does eat pork.
Or anything else.
And everything else. Yeah, he'll eat everything but the squeal. Does anyone? I'm out there today. Did that answer your question? Be honest and say yes. Okay. In Luke, Jesus says, quote, if you come after me but will not leave your family, you cannot be my follower. Did the apostles abandon their families, wives, kids to follow Jesus, or was that symbolic? That's a few questions, okay? First, yeah, they did. They left their families. And our sacred tradition is pretty clear about that. What did it look like? We don't know. But what... In the Middle Eastern culture in which Jesus was immersed, hyperbole is a normal way of talking. So it's like when Jesus says, if your eye causes you to sin, rip it out, right? He obviously doesn't want you to rip your eyeball out. And the church teaches against mutilation. But he's always going to take us to the extreme to show us the goal. Why? Because we always think we are the exception. We always think we're the exception. And if you think about what I just said, you'll see I'm right. I don't mean to. You'll see it in your heart, and you'll see it in the hearts of people around you. The moment we are given a rule, we try to find a way around it. That's part of our fallenness. It's part of our cleverness. And so Jesus always takes us to extremes. when he wants to make a point, because that's how people spoke back then. If you've ever did a negotiation by in Jerusalem, you know what I'm talking about. That the bigger the object, the more the negotiation happens, and the negotiation process is steeped in drama. Right? I remember I was negotiating about buying a blanket, okay, that blue blanket that's still at our parish. And in the midst of it, the guy ripped off his outer shirt and yelled, "Do you want this too?" It's just how you do it. Like it took me forever to work up to that because I'm a people pleaser. Like I wanted to hug him and cry and give him twice what he asked, but they won't even let you. No, it's the show, it's the hyperbole, it's the social intercourse, it's the whole thing. And so Jesus uses those images. But to be clear, to some extent, the disciples did leave their families. Now, does that mean they didn't take care of their families? No, not at all. What it would mean is that, as you noticed, if you look at Peter's travels, James's travels, particularly those that left Israel, they went a long way. They were gone for a year at times, years. Who was the most free? Well, the celibate, Paul. Right? Think about it. Paul would go places and stay for years. I hope that helps. Today, did you notice I changed my cup? Did you? It's the Black Rifle cup. I don't even buy Black Rifle coffee anymore. It's too expensive. But I love this cup. Yeah.
It's a good cup.
It's a good cup. Why am I boycotting Amazon? Oh, two things. Stick with me, okay? Seriously, stick with me. The fact that I can click a button and in truly 24 hours something can be to me, it's crazy. But it means a lot of people got run over on the way. And I don't need anything that quick. And I remember when Amazon first started that Amazon Prime, and I signed up. I had the Amazon Platinum card. You probably don't. I remember just being so shocked. But then by the end of my time with Amazon, I was irritated if it was 2 days. That's not good. And if you talk to people who work there, it's a lot. It's hard on them. And I'm not a socialist. You know that. Oh my gosh, I am not a communist. I'm not about wealth redistribution. But there is something broken in a system where Bezos can make $14 billion last year, while he has people making minimum wage that are working 12 and 14 hours to get me something I really don't need in 24 hours. So I don't enjoy his labor practices. I don't appreciate his politics. He bought the Washington Post and turned them into just another outlet for the left. And the right has their outlets. Don't get all freaky on me. I could go on and on, but just I think human dignity, my personal conviction, oh my gosh, okay, please don't, all right? Some of you, this is vital. I get it, especially if you got kids. I don't know what your life's like. I just assume it's crazy, okay? I don't have kids. It's just me, dad, and the dog. But I don't need anything that fast, particularly if, in my mind, it crushes human dignity. And I don't like his business practices. I don't like the fact that they refuse to sell a book written by a medical doctor that said you probably shouldn't be mutilating your 10-year-old because they said they think they're a girl. They removed that book. They remove books that don't fit a very specific agenda. That creeps me out. It creeps me out. So I hope I don't offend people. I get that sometimes we're going to be offended when we talk to each other. I totally do. But no, I'm speaking the truth as best I can. And if I'm wrong, pray for me. I want to be holy, you know. Okay. Okay. I live in the AOD. boom. I got to tell you before I finish this, I love Archbishop Vigneron. I do. And I know like Church Militant in particular has a real thing against him. I know him personally, and I find him to be ridiculously holy and beautiful. And I think he is one of my favorite priests in the world. What a tender, Jesus-loving heart he has. And please, never require your bishop to be perfect. My God. Okay. So is your brew available anywhere near there? I would love to try it. Well, here's what I got. You can purchase it at Lansing Brewing Company, or there's this O'Sullivan distributors in Flint, and they'll have the information about where they sell it. Does that make sense? So my beer goes out of Lansing Brewing, which doesn't ship to humans, right? It ships to companies in state. And then you have, it's 2 letters, isn't it? Like John R. O'Sullivan or something. J.P. O'Sullivan Distributors in Flint. So Flint jobs, guys. Woohoo! And they're good people, by the way. If you go to maybe their website, or if you call them, they'll tell you, this is where we sell it near you.
Say, Father Joe said to call.
Father Joe said to call. I do know it's at Kroger right now. I just had someone tell me this. Father, they brought in a whole new shipment. But it goes pretty fast. You know, people who are listening, when you hear those dramatic pauses, I am spoofing the camera. I'm like whipping off my glasses, lifting one eyebrow. I love all of our Catholic rituals and practices. Me too. Will you speak to blessing a house and all the other different kind of blessings that you administer as a priest? Yeah, sure. Most things, if you bring me, I can give them a how you doing, right? Rosaries, books. I've blessed, ready? Let's go through the animals, because this is a riot. I've blessed, of course, dogs. I've kind of blessed cats, but what the owner didn't know is I was doing an exorcism. I blessed an alligator. I've blessed sheep. I've blessed lizards and bunny rabbits that were going to be eaten, and ones that were going to be petted. I've blessed cows and pigs and goats. I've blessed all kinds of animals. I blessed an eagle once. Did I tell you this?
Really?
Oh, I don't know. I've blessed combines, fields. I've blessed new vehicles. You can bless just about anything, really. Just ask your priest. Now, in terms of a house blessing, there's a very formal one, and there's one that's not as formal. Primarily, if you want, get exorcised water and salt from your priest and sprinkle it around your house. That's all he's going to do when he blesses it, right? Is this helpful?
Yes.
Okay. We bless food the day before Easter. I don't know. Oh, I've blessed motorcycles. I had a whole motorcycle gang actually ask me to bless their bikes, except for 2 who didn't want to. I don't know. I can't. I feel like I'm being vague, and I'm sorry, but I've blessed so many things I can't even keep track. And truly, Dad will tell you, when we drive, I bless all kinds of stuff. See someone walk alone, oh, Jesus bless them. Drive by a graveyard, I bless the people buried there and ask Jesus to get them home. Drive by a hospital, bless the doctors and nurses and janitors and receptionists and people. Blah, blah, blah. I bless businesses in Grand Blanc when I drive by. I do. I ask Jesus to bless them, and because I think we're in a bit of trouble, right? Financially. You can't just keep banging out money like this. There's a thing called inflation. I don't know. Okay. Whew.
Last questions.
Okay. Why is it never mentioned what happened to Jesus' dad, St. Joseph? When did he die? Well, you know, see if this helps, because there's a bunch of these type things, and it's such a good question. What you gotta remember, and it's so weird to think this way, okay? But when Matthew, Mark, and Luke were sitting down to write their Gospels, they didn't say in their heads, I'm writing scripture. They didn't say, I'm writing something that people will be reading 100 years from now. It's in fact pretty clear they didn't think that the world would last 50 more years. They were just writing what happened. And who were they writing it for? People who wanted to know. And writing something like that, at a day and age when paper was crazy expensive and there really wasn't a means to copy anything, right? There were no copy machines. You only wrote what was uber important, and the rest you explained when you read it to people. So you think, well, who's going to sit there while someone reads the whole Gospel of Mark? Well, everyone. That was their TV, right? You can sit in front of the TV for hours. I've heard your confessions. So this was their TV, in a sense. And so it wouldn't be like, oh, Paul wrote a letter to the Ephesians, right? So it's not that all the Ephesians, like a letter was passed around. No, paper was expensive. This was hard to do. So instead, people would go to key points in Ephesus and read what Paul wrote to this crowd that would gather. How are we doing? Okay, so why wouldn't they say? Why wouldn't they say what happened to St. Joseph? Because they didn't consider it essential to the story, and plus they could just say. I know that sounds funny, but that's where we get sacred tradition as Catholics, and it's one of the more misunderstood principles. What is sacred tradition? It's anything that we can prove that the early church taught. And when I say early church, I mean the first 200 years. And why is that important? Because they didn't write everything down. They couldn't. I mean, I guess they could, but John flat out puts it this way at the end of his gospel. There are many, many more things to tell you, and I suppose if I wrote them all down, the world couldn't hold all the books. Right? John just flat out says, we're limited. And you'll even see really curious stuff when you start to read it this way. You'll recognize, oh my gosh, they're writing their own clues in the sense of, like John does this in particular. John is writing to people who aren't Jews, so he explains every Jewish thing. Matthew is writing to Jews. He doesn't explain any Jewish things. Who was it? Who wrote about blind Bartimaeus? This is what it's right. This is how he's referred to in the Gospel of blind Bartimaeus, comma, the son of Timaeus, comma, and then it keeps going. Now here's what's crazy about that. Bar means son of. So he's saying, blind son of Timaeus, the son of Timaeus. And you're like, why? Why would you? They don't do that anywhere else. You ready for this crazy thing? Probably because they were making sure that you knew, no, it's that guy over there, right over there, that you're sitting near. He used to be blind. They're double naming him. Blind Bartimaeus, Bartimaeus. So they're literally saying, blind Bartimaeus, Bartimaeus. Namely, that Bartimaeus over there, he used to be blind. This is who the story is about. Because he would have been there. I mean, isn't that nuts? And once you learn to look at the gospel this way, it's pretty crazy. At the cross of Jesus, where Mary, his mother, Mary, the wife of Clopas, Joanna, and the disciple whom Jesus loved. Like, wow. They're telling you. Why? Well, because you could meet those gals. Does this help? So when we get to St. Joseph, it would have been something that was passed along. For example, how do we know, why did Luke write so much about Mary? Well, because we find out from sacred tradition that they lived together. Luke interviewed her. Luke's gospel is written after he sat with Mom. Isn't that crazy? And how do we know that? Well, that's what they wrote to each other that's not in the Bible. Am I making sense? So what do we know about Joseph that's not in the Bible? Our assumption, right? Assumption is that he died when Jesus was young. And when we say young, we would say before 12. Why? Because once Jesus was 12, he would have been considered a man. Okay. And the earliest stories we have of him outside of Scripture, it's one of the reasons he's the patron saint of people dying. Because he was the first person Jesus saw die, right? Can you imagine? All right. So that's what we know. Okay. We have to go. Okay, because yesterday you guys went way over. I don't know if you remember, but Pastor Williams and I were gravely offended by you guys. Do you remember that? Everybody went on, and we were just sitting here trying to get. So anyway. I'm going to wrap us up. I'm so grateful for you guys tuning in. And I'm sorry, I don't really have a sense yet of where we're going next week, but I promise I'm going to work very hard on it. We've got so many funerals, so many weddings coming up. I'm a little bit crunched, and I can't quite get my brain to focus, but I get a day off, theoretically, on Monday, and that's when I'll start plugging away. And hopefully by Tuesday, we'll be able to tell you what we're doing. But the good news is that Bruce Dinger will be on the show Thursday, because I want to say Kim Dinger. Kim Dinger will be on the show next Thursday. He's a righteous guest. And did I tell them about the cruise thing? No? Okay, sorry, one more thing. So on the auction, so again, you type the words, the letters, HFS Auction 2021, one word, and you text it to 243-725. And so I didn't tell them this. One of the items is the Good News Cruise. Yeah, I'll be MC. Bishop Chaput will be there. Scott Hahn will be there. Tons of crazy people. And I can't wait. Dr. Ray's going to be there. I love that cat. Teresa Tomeo. I love that woman. I could go on, and I'll stop.
And then they do the show from there.
Yeah, and we're probably going to do the show from there if we can work out the internet. Because last time, did I tell you this? I paid all that money for the extra kick butt, and I couldn't get email.
Yeah.
So anyway, check all this out. If you would, please come to the auction on Saturday night. I look forward to seeing you there. Huh?
Let's Fiesta.
It's called Let's Fiesta. And if we raise $18 trillion, I will dance. So, okay, I'm going to say a prayer, and I'm going to pray for those of us feeling anxious. I think that's going to be, yeah. You asked that question, whoever you are, I hope I answered it well. I do. I feel you. I promise. And for all of you feeling anxious, just have some darn mercy on yourself. These are crazy days. We're going to act like we wish we felt, guys. And do I need to say, if you haven't been to a doctor, if you feel like the anxiousness is consuming you, you might want to talk to the doctor. There are times this is chemical, and there is nothing you can do until you get professional and good help. Okay? Okay. Whew. I'm tired. Okay. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. All right, Jesus. You came to us at our worst, and you met us there, and that's so cool of you. Thank you. And for those of us feeling anxious or afraid, for those who are fighting just to get through the day, oh Lord, please have mercy on them. Wrap your beautiful arms around them and give them strength. For those who wrestle with feeling loved, if you would, just let them feel your love. We ask that as we stand at the different crosses in our life, Holy Mother, please stand next to us and pray for us. For all of the things we worry about and all the people that we're fretting about, oh Lord, we give them to you. And we love you and we trust you. And may Almighty God bless all of you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I will see you crazy people either at our, Mass on Sunday for Pentecost.
Yep.
I will see you possibly Saturday at our Let's Fiesta thinger for the things.
Students.
Thinger for the students. And then I'll see you next week when we talk about a secret topic. Is it over?
No, it's never over.